Welcome back, my Duelist friends. Casual Duelist here. Happy Monday. And let's start the week off with sort of another kind of cool retro Edison build. This week, I'm doing a 42 card main decked Lightsworn build. And again, it's like we can look at the way that we used to play Lightsworn, or we can look at the way that we would play Lightsworn now in that format. And I chose to go with the first and not the second. This is something that I used to play a lot of. And believe it or not, Celestial Duelist started right around this time period too, because she was really into like Lightsworn, Harpies, Blackwings. So this is one of the decks that like she was super into, and this is like one of the first versions of one of her decks that I helped her build. So kind of a special deck today. Outside of that, we're just gonna go ahead and get it started for you guys, okay? As you know, in order to play Lightsworn properly, we do need to play the boss card, so we're going to just start with 2 copies of the Judgment Dragon. What is it? What do we do with it? How does it win? At this point in time, it's limited to 2, so 2 copies. 8-star Light Dragon, 3,000 by 2,600. This card cannot be normal summoned or set, cannot be special summoned except by having 4 or more Lightsworn with different names in the graveyard. As a trigger effect, you can pay 1,000 life points to destroy all other cards on the field. And during each end phase, each copy of Judgment Dragon requires you to send the top 4 of your deck to the discard pile. So, first and foremost, you guys are going to be playing 2 JDs. Again, if it was 3, you'd be playing 3. It's very simple. It's just a good card. That said, we need to get as many names into the deck as possible. One of those names will be Arcus. We will just play a single copy of this guy. He's our druid. He says the Lightsworn monsters cannot be targeted by spells, traps, or card effects. This includes hand, deck, field, discard, banish, whatever. During each end phase, he will require you to send the top 2 from the deck to the discard. Next card up, and again, this is just simple. Again, Celestial loves Blackwing Gale. I love Blackwing Gale in this format as he's one of the strongest tuners in the game at that point. And again, we're just going to go ahead and use him. He's going to open us up to a bunch of cool 7-star synchro plays. And actually gets way more like involved in this build. So it's good stuff. Next up, I suppose, 2 copies, Celestia, the Lightsworn Angel. When you tribute summon this card by tributing a Lightsworn monster card, you can send the top 4 cards of your deck to the discard. If you do, you get to destroy up to 2 cards the opponent controls. Now, just real quick, it's always going to be a mill 4. Even if you're only choosing to destroy 1 card, it's always a mill 4. It's not 2 cards per. So just be aware of that. And again, that's going to be our second name. Moving on to our third name, we are going to have 1 copy, Erin the Lightsworn Monk. The way she works, before damage calculation, if she battled a defense monster, she was attacking a defense monster, shuffle that card back into the owner's deck. During each end phase, she will mill top 3. It does state that she must remain face up and under our control in order to resolve her effect. This is, again, kind of self-explanatory, but it's one of those things where they had to put it in the text anyway. That's third name. Fourth name is going to be Gareth, the Lightsworn Warrior. He's the weird one. He's got 1850 for his offense stat. And again, he doesn't normally mill on his own during the end phase. Instead, every time a card or cards would be sent from deck to graveyard by the effect of a Lightsworn monster that you control, except a Gareth, the Lightsworn Warrior, you will then send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard and draw 1 card for any Lightsworn monster cards that were discarded by his own effect. So, yeah. He lets us sort of deep draw the deck. And again, that's fourth name. Next up, pretty basic play. We're going to use 1 copy of Gore's Emissary. Gore's is just amazing in this time period. And something else that's great for this deck is 2 copies of Honest. Again, Honest allowing us to just sort of buffer any of our light attribute monsters that are in battle by adding the opposing stat to our stat. Next Lightsworn character that we're going to use 2 copies Jane, the Lightsworn Paladin. Let's see why this isn't focusing. Can I go in a little bit? Will that help? Yeah, that helped. So Jane will gain a quick boost of 300 points only when this card attacks an opponent's monster and only during the damage step. And each end phase is another top 2 mill. Again, they're going to start saying that they need to be face up in order to mill. They need to be controlled during the end phase in order to mill. This is, again, should be common sense. Next up, 1 copy Lumina. Lumina limited to 1 during this time period because she's just too strong. She's just too good. Once per turn, discard 1 card, target a level 4 lower Lightsworn in graveyard, special summon. During end phase, mill 3. Lila, I'd play at 1. Simply put, you could change this one from face-up attack to face-up defense to destroy a spell trap that the opponent controls. If you activate this effect, it's much like Goblin Attack Force. The next turn, you cannot manually change it. The turn after, that's fine. And every end phase is a mill 3. So again, what does it give us? It gives us Arcus, Celestia, Aaron, Gareth, Jane, Lumina, Lila. That brings us up to like 7 names. 1 copy Necrogardna. Again, since you're just milling cards to the graveyard, we can mill this to banish it when our opponent declares an attack, and we'll get to negate 1 attack. We will have 1 copy of Plague Spreader Zombie, again because ban list. You can return this, return 1 card from your hand to the top of the deck, to special summon this from the graveyard. If you do remove this move this card from play afterward, when it leaves the field. And again, this allows us to have another 2-star tuner, lets us do some cool stuff. Technically, we could summon it, to use it, then bounce the thing, then use it. Like, it's a good card. Additionally, the 2-star allows us to pull off some really weird plays, which is good. Next, we're going to get to our 8th and 9th names. 8th, we're going to be playing 3 copies Raikou, the Lightsworn Hunter. And the way this little guy works is flip. You can target a card on the field and destroy it. However, afterward, you then send top 3 of deck to discard, which is fine. You're going to play 1 copy Super Nimble Mega Hamster to get that to go faster. And then the last monster we're going to use 3 copies of Wolf. He's going to be our 8th name. And Wolf pairs off exceptionally well with that Plague Spreader. Because sometimes you just dead draw Wolf. That just happens. What you'd be able to do is then put the Wolf on the top of the deck, and then if you have like a Gareth effect, if you have any other effect, if you tribute into Celestia, you could then board the Wolf. Wolf cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by a card effect. And his own effect is, if this card is sent from the deck to the graveyard, you may special summon it. Again, this is a great lineup for this time period. It has a lot of utility, and it plays well against a lot of other decks. Moving off into the spells and traps, we are going to be running 2 copies of Book of Moon. Again, it just does a lot of control aspect stuff. It's good stuff. We're going to run a single copy Brain Control. Again, there's times that we want to synchronize and maybe our opponent left a tuner on the field, or maybe we would like the star level of their card versus using our own cards as the material, at which point we still have Plague Spreader, which we can basically call back to the field on a whim. So Brain Control, good stuff. Card Destruction lets you almost turbo your build. This lets you just drop and build into a good discard pile from the start of the game. Single copy, Charge of the Light Brigade. This is just good. Send top 3 of deck to discard. Add a level 4 or lower Lightsworn from deck to hand. Single copy Cold Wave. Once you have like a good Stranglehold position, you'll start a turn by activating this. This has to be the first thing that you do in a main phase 1, and then until your next turn, the end of your opponent's next turn, the beginning of your next turn, you and the opponent cannot play or set any spell or trap cards. So again, you just hard freeze spell traps for a full turn. And then again, if you weren't in a good position, or maybe you're in a great position, what you could do then is you could just special summon JD, pop the field. You won't be able to set anything, but neither will your opponent. But it really takes and breaks their board position, knowing that you can just go into Cold Wave. Single copy Foolish Burial. Like, this is like a whole 5 minutes. But, like, the broad strokes are, you need a name for JD, throw it. You want to be able to block an attack next round, throw Gardna. You need to get the Plague Spreader now, throw him, play him by his effect. Or you could just simply board Wolf. Like, there's a bunch of different reasons why you play this card. And it's just an excellent one-of in this build. Next up, Heavy Storm for obvious reasons. Back row control, Mind Control at 1 for the same reasons we play the Brain Control. MST at 1 because ban list reasons. And then 3 copies Solar Recharge. And again, This is another reason why we don't mind dead drawing the wolf, because we use them as part of the cost. The cost here being discard a Lightsworn monster, draw 2, then mill 2. Perfect, right? Traps, you're going to go bare minimum here, because again, you can't always guarantee your traps. So one of the best ones to be using at this point was from Ancient Sanctuary. It's called Beckoning Light. The way Beckoning Light works is you have to drop your entire hand. Then you select a number of light monsters from the discard equal to the number of cards you discarded, then you get to add those to your hand. So the fact is, we could drop all of our Judgment Dragons real quick. We could. But like, let's say we have 2 JDs in the discard pile. We have a 2-card hand of Plague Spreader and Necrogardna. The rest of our discard pile has more than enough names. We can activate the Beckoning Light, put our Necrogardna in the discard pile where he's going to activate well as the Plague Spreader that we can call back. In order to get 2 copies of Judgment Dragon back to the hand, we could summon one, pop the field, summon the other one, and go for a double direct at 6k. I don't make the rules, guys. I'm just saying, like, this is a great card, and it's worth the 2 slots. The rest of my last 3 traps, these are just kind of basic good stuff for the time period. I love a Mirror Force. I love a Torrential. And believe it or not, I love a T-Dust Shoot. If you're looking for a card to remove from this, I suppose you could get rid of the Trap Dust Shoot because you do require the opponent to have 4 more cards in their hand at activation. And depending on how fast your opponent's playing or how late in the game you draw this could become a dead card. And there's not too much in the way of alleviating that, except knowing that you're going to be able to use it in the part of the Beckoning Light or the card destruction. So if you are looking to like bring this closer to 40, that would be my option for removal, but it goes hard in the early game and the mid game. So this is my main deck. If you guys like it, you guys want this, take a quick screenshot or pause and make some notes. And I'm going to be right back with the extra deck, all right? So, uno momento. All right, my friends. Now we are back. Let me get the deck the rest of the way off there. I don't want to cause any more focus issues today if I don't have to. The extra deck is actually pretty simple for this one. Again, I always play 2 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon in my extra deck in Edison format. Because if I'm not maining Cyber Dragon, I'm usually siding Cyber Dragon. And when I'm siding Cyber Dragon, it's always a good play against Machina and Gadget builds. Again, you're going to have opponents who just play those themselves. And sometimes you don't have to touch your side deck because they'll go ahead, they'll play the cards for you. And then you just go ahead and snap them up. Outside of that, Single Ally of Justice Catastor, great for the non-dark matchups. Ancient Fairy Dragon, good 7-star in here. Because of Lila and our Gale, we actually have the ability to rip into Arcanite Magician here, get some nice spot destructions. Armory Arm. Now, if I'm not too mistaken, Raikou, the one that looks like a wolf, he's a 2-star. And I want to say maybe Necrogardna was a 3. But what you'll be able to do is with your 2-star on Plague Spreader plus Raikou, you will be able to go into the Armory Arm. And then again, we could get like a pseudo Flame Wingman effect here. Because any monster that's equipped with this and destroys an opponent's monster also gets to do direct damage equal to the destroyed monster's attack. So again, it's very cool. It's very synchrocentric. We do keep a Black Rose on us because again, just strong, good plays. And then again, we've got Gale. You might as well put an Armor Master in here, as this really makes it more utility in the extra. Bryanak, good for some field disruption. Colossal Fighter, still putting in good hard work. Go-Yo Guardian for the obvious matchups. Android, because 5 is still very relevant. Mistworm for the trip bounce. Stardust, because again, if I'm not playing Starlight Road, it's still one of the best 8-star synchros in the game at the time period. And it may be one of the weaker ones, because again, I guess if we do the matchup, it is the weakest of all my 8-stars in this lineup, because even Colossal Fighter beats it by a couple hundred. And my last card, Thought Ruler, beats it by another 200. And a lot of people still play Red Dragon Arcfiend in this time period, and obviously he wins by 500. But the difference is it's just the threat of destruction effects. I really don't want my opponent to be able to, especially in a mirror match, I don't want to see my opponent's Judgment Dragon take me out because I didn't have Stardust Dragon. And it still makes their plays like really weird. Like then they'll have to like attack into the Stardust Dragon, and it's like, cool. Well, does he have like Dimension Prisons or something in his extra deck? And then you got to start asking questions like that before you attack. And sometimes it becomes too much of like a game of information and misinformation, and it just stuns the opponent that way. But that's my deck. I figured this is like a really cool extra deck. This is a really cool throwback to the way Celestia used to play, and I figured you guys would enjoy this. I've got a couple speed duel decks coming up later this week. I got a nice little spotlight going on. Nobody really voted on cards to add to the draft, so I'm just going to tell you guys how I'm building the draft. We'll make like an update to the draft video. I'm trying to see whether or not we can get Bandit back here to the dungeon and we can actually start playing some draft formats, because I think that you guys might like that too. Outside of that, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you did, consider supporting the channel, like, comment, sub, and if you didn't, hopefully I'll do better next time, right? Until then, you guys do the best that you can, okay? Go do something for the mental health, and I hope to see you guys on the next one, all right? Later.